House briefed members of Congress and their staffs this afternoon about the intelligence it has gathered so far. Joining us now is House Armed Services Committee member Brad Wenstrup. He's a Republican from Ohio. He's also a former Army surgeon and currently a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army Reserves. God bless. Thank you very much for coming on the show, Brad. Let me ask you this.
Sure.
There's a lot of protests. We had some House members, Republican and Democrat, on last night. They want authorization from Congress before the president acts. I believe you signed one of those letters that suggested the president must go to Congress. Let me ask you this. If tonight, in an hour, before this show is even over, if we learn that the bombing starts, that we're taking out the Air Force, we're taking out the airfields, we're taking out the command and control, and we're taking out all capabilities for chemical weapons. If we learn that tonight, wouldn't you back the president, or would you want him to still come to Congress?
Well, I would like him to still come to Congress because our constituents really need to know why the decisions were being made. And that was a step in the right direction today when we had an opportunity to hear their side of the story and to share some of the intelligence that's been shared with the American people. But Congress, in general, still feels like they would like to know what the whole strategy is. I certainly understand, and the world understands, that we want to deter the use of chemical weapons, not only by Assad, but throughout the world. But how are we going about accomplishing that? What are our national security interests and risks involved with this? I've served in theater, and I have a concern, of course, for our troops and for any repercussion.
All right, I know you served in theater, and as I say, God bless for your service. But I come back to this other issue, which I think is still very important. The element of surprise, the element of speed. I mean, frankly, I thought the president would have acted by now. Perhaps he will tonight, perhaps he won't, I don't know. But we don't want to give Assad a chance, let's say, to go to Aleppo, which is the biggest town. There's a lot of talk that they're going to drop chemical warfare bombs on Aleppo. We don't want to give him any more advantages. You go to the Congress later, he's already starting to consult with you all, but sometimes the element of surprise, which you know better than I am because you have served, is a terrific war strategy.
That is a terrific war strategy, and it's one that we have concerns about. You know, we can see on the news every night where we're positioned, and often we know what our options are, and then they know what our options are. So that's a concern. Perhaps there's more out there that we don't know about. We haven't had a top secret type of briefing yet. We've had an unclassified briefing. So as far as Congress goes, and on behalf of our constituents, we're not really able to share with them what we think might be the best move.
Can you share with us the unclassified briefing? What were the high points?
Well, I can tell you today that there were many opinions. Came across that the administration feels very certain that Assad was the one who used the chemical weapons. Of course, the UN team that's in place right now will not really have the results for a couple of weeks, and it's important to know that they will not say who used them. They will merely say that they were used. I think that the data that we have from those that presented to the hospital and those that were there live on the scene would say chemical weapons were used. So we feel pretty certain about that. The administration was making their case that they feel that they have to act, and perhaps unilaterally. Well, that's where the debate comes in, and we heard many opinions from many congressmen on this phone call.
Well, what was the generic sort of, overview? If we have to act alone, I mean, I don't even know what it is, for example. I wish I knew more, then I could decide whether I'm in favor of this or not. But I'm just looking at it from defending the United States. I regard myself as a patriotic conservative hawk, if you will. I hope this is the right thing to do. I don't know. But I'm just saying, you say Kerry made the sale today. I tend to agree. I thought it was John Kerry's best speech of his entire career. I personally have known him for a long time. If we have to go it alone, why not? I mean, you tell me we have to wait 2 weeks for the United Nations, which, will never help us anyway. We'll never get anything through the Security Council because of Russia. Again, why not act alone? If that's the game plan, and God help us, I hope it's a good game plan.
Well, I agree with you there, and I will say that they did make the legitimate case today, and John Kerry did it very well, and I agree with you. It was a very outstanding speech on his part, and, we're certainly saddened by the destruction that takes place to men, women, and children, innocent people. But going it alone, that is the question, right? And I think that it's important that the president speak to the American people and make his case. But you also bring up a good point. How much of the case are you going to make as far as what you intend to do? But I think that those of us in Congress would like to know what you intend to do and why.
I mean, I just would say, look, again, as an amateur here, but I'm just reporting on this. We have telegraphed so many of our punches, it's just awful. It's just awful, in my opinion, the things we won't do, like regime change or going after Assad or taking out or crippling his military. We've telegraphed so many things that, Brad, I'm hoping against hope that it's all kind of a head fake, and that when the actual shooting starts, when the missiles start, it's going to be much, much tougher than that, and we will cripple their Air Force, and we will cripple their chemical warfare. That was my hope. Is there any chance that that hope will come to fruition?
Well, you know as much as I do in some regards, because most of what I know is unclassified. So whether it's a head fake or not, I don't know. I do have a concern of what's in the best interest of the American people and for our own security and for any potential fallout, especially for Turkey, Israel, Jordan. These are people that are friends to the United States, and we certainly have to make sure that we don't do something that puts them in greater harm's way and ruins that relationship that we've had with them and makes it more difficult for those nations. So it's not only the United States and what's on the line for us, but what's on the line for our allies.
Right. The stakes are very high. Well put. Okay, Congressman Brad Wenstrup, thank you ever so much. We appreciate